And I now give the floor to the representative of Fiji, Mr. Meleti Raimuria Bainimarama, Permanent Secretary for Rural and Maritime Development. You have the floor, sir.
Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, I would like to take this opportunity to extend the Fijian government's sincere appreciation to the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction for organizing the 6th session of the UN World Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction, and to the government of Switzerland for hosting this important event here in Geneva. Greetings and Bula Vinaka. Fiji, it is truly an honor for me to join you all at the 6th session of the Global Platform for DRR here in Geneva. Looking back at the outcomes of the 5th session in Cancun, Mexico, and the discussion of the last 2 days, I can say that Fiji has made some progress with regards to implementing the Sendai framework. However, considerable effort is still needed in building resilience. The 5th session of the Global Platform that was held in Cancun, Mexico, emphasized transforming commitments into actions. It focused on the following 4 thematic areas: national and local disaster risk reduction strategies pave the way for action for all; a risk-informed approach to sustainable development and resilience for countries in special situations; the Sendai framework monitoring and coherence between the Sendai framework, the 2013, the coherence between the Sendai framework, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and the Climate Change Agreement. Fiji, based on the need to transform commitments into action as per the Cancun meeting outcomes, Fiji has developed its National Disaster Risk Reduction with the assistance of Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA. The overall objective of the policy is to enable Fiji to deliver on its priority of preventing new disaster risk and reducing existing risk in line with relevant regional and global frameworks. Fiji remains on track on achieving Target E of the Sendai framework by being one of the countries to have its national strategies by 2020. On improving risk governance, Fiji has taken steps to review existing institutional mechanisms to support the adoption of a risk-informed approach to sustainable development. This includes reviewing our public sector investment program, processes to incorporate a section on risk assessment to examine risk to and from any major government-funded projects. This new governance arrangement will ensure that government departments undertake disaster-related risk assessment for any new projects to be considered and funded from public funds. In relation to meeting the requirements of the Sendai framework, Fiji is one of the countries from the Pacific that was able to submit its SFM report before the end of March 2019. The report has been assessed by UNDRR report, and the findings will be used to improve our data collection procedures for future reporting under the Sendai Framework Monitor. This attempt in meeting the UNDRR timelines for the submission of SFM reports signifies our commitments towards implementing the Sendai Framework. The theme for the 6th session is Resilience Dividend towards Sustainable and Inclusive Societies, depicts the importance of encompassing the risk of small-scale and large-scale frequent and infrequent, sudden and slow-onset disasters caused by natural or man-made hazards, as well as related environmental, technological, and biological hazards and risks. Fiji's disaster legislation is currently under review, and the review process has taken this into consideration, new ways of strengthening our disaster laws to address both natural, climate, and human-induced disasters, hazards, and risks. At the regional level, the Framework for Resilient Development in the Pacific, FRDP, provides the much-needed impetus for collaboration to share experience and good practice on resilient development in the Pacific. The Framework for Resilient Development in the Pacific is an integrated approach to address climate change and disaster risk management considerations for resilient development. While regional partners are working on the governance arrangements to implement the FRDP, countries like Fiji recognize the work of our national governments towards sustainable and resilient development and encourages the engagement of finance and planning officials to ensure that resilient development is embedded in our national planning and budgetary process. Fiji supports the outcome of the recent Pacific Resilience meeting held in Fiji, which recognized the critical importance of the elements of protection, gender, and inclusion to the success of humanitarian actions and resilient development interventions. 2, the need for inclusive, gender-responsive decision-making processes and human rights-based approaches that take into account the differing needs of persons of all gender, identified ages, disabilities, backgrounds. And 3, recognize that better access to locally relevant data and strengthen practical understanding of disaster and climate change impacts are essential to support evidence-based action by governments and communities and highlight the need for greater awareness and coordination. Building resilience to economic and environmental shocks lies at the heart of the Framework for Resilient Development in the Pacific. Fiji, like most countries in the Pacific, is working towards implementing the FRDP as a response to the call of building resilience to economic and environmental shocks. Fiji, like many other Pacific Island countries, are disproportionately affected by natural disasters. Therefore, we need a holistic approach to addressing economic and trade vulnerabilities. Fiji would like this global platform to support the call for assistance for seeds in finding durable solutions within World Trade Organization rules to support building resilience. Assist seeds in identifying trade and economic tools for addressing risks from climate change and natural disaster. For example, in identifying how global rules can contribute to building resilience to natural disasters. Strengthen coordination with United Nations agencies and other international institutions that work with small and vulnerable communities to ensure effectiveness of global action and instruments to support building resilience to natural disasters. Building resilience for small island nations is multidimensional, and we need to examine all global frameworks and synthesize the common areas for action to ensure that our investments are targeted and focused on achieving sustainable development. Distinguished delegates, we look forward to working and collaborating with other countries present here today in achieving some of our actionable commitments as set out in our national policies. This collaboration is important in ensuring that we continue to work on building the resilience of our people moving into the future. And thank you all.
I thank the